Black Star Network is here.
Hold no punches!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? Today is Wednesday, May 4th, 2022. Coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network. Donald Trump's endorsement of an Ohio candidate put him on the general election ballot. Also, Nina Turner gets blown out by Chantel Brown in a rematch in Ohio. We'll talk about what yesterday's Democratic primary in Ohio, well, Republican as well, means for the midterms in November, and also other states that we're looking out for. All right, folks, we're talking to more representatives from the Poor People's Campaign about the importance of voting as they are getting ready for next month's Moral March on Washington and to the polls. Descendants of slaves in southwestern Louisiana get a key victory, allowing their legal challenge to keep a $400 million grain elevator from being built on the Mississippi River, known as Cancer Alley. We'll talk to the co-founder of the Descendants Project, who is fighting to keep another company from creating more toxic waste in Black communities. Also, a lot of drama happening in the Southwestern Athletic Conference. The SWAC says that a Black-owned media company cannot negotiate with Pepsi or others for media rights. Also, the Florida A&M athletic director suddenly resigns. What's going on in the SWAC? It comes down to money. I'm going to break this thing down with Scotty, the host of Off Script, a YouTube channel. Also, police officer charged with Elijah McClain's death wants a judge to dismiss all of his charges because the chokehold isn't what killed Elijah. And Tennessee radio icon Bobby OJ passed away today. And folks, I've been waiting a long time to get this week's Tech Talk guest on the show, the creator of Hoop Triggerz. Y'all gonna trip when we break this thing down. It's time to bring the funk on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the biz, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, roll, y'all. It's Roland Martin, rolling with Roland now. He's funky, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now.
All right, folks, midterm elections are upon us. Well, the primaries are, and some key races are already set. Last night in Ohio, venture capitalist J.D. Vance, he beat other Republicans to win the nomination there. He's going to be facing Congressman Tim Ryan to be the next United States Senator to replace the retiring Portman, Rob Portman in that particular state. Also, in the election, there was a rematch that took place as well in the state when it came to the race for Congress. Remember, Chantel Brown beat Nina Turner a few months ago by 6 points. Well, they just had a rematch, and she beat Turner by 27 points. Now, what's interesting here is that, of course, Trump, he endorsed Vance, but it's not just his endorsement. Of course, you also had a billionaire who decided to pump $14 million into a political action committee and supported Vance as well. Now, Ohio is not, it used to be a purple state. It's pretty much a Republican state now in terms of how they've been doing there. Donald Trump took a lot of those white class workers, winning by 450,000 votes against Hillary Clinton in 2016. He beat Biden in Ohio as well. But the question is, what can Dems do? Do they have a shot in Ohio? And then we have other primaries coming up. We've got North Carolina, we've got Wisconsin, we've got Pennsylvania, we've got Georgia. All these different primaries are coming up, getting ready for the fall. Now, a big issue that's also the unknown, the impending Supreme Court decision when it comes to Roe v. Wade. Already commercials are dropping, or social media commercials are dropping, dealing with that issue, plus the Ohio race. And so I want to play some of those for you. Let's play the Midas Touch one first. This is the ad that they put together. So let's play it.
I believe the Constitution protects the right to privacy, and I have no reason or agenda to prejudge the issue.
Roe versus Wade is an important precedent of the Supreme Court. It was decided in 1973. It has been challenged on a number of occasions, and the Supreme Court has reaffirmed the decision. When a decision is challenged and it is reaffirmed, that strengthens its value.
Roe versus Wade, decided in 1973, is a precedent of the United States Supreme Court. It has been reaffirmed, so a good judge will consider it as precedent of the United States Supreme Court, worthy as treatment of precedent like any other.
As a judge, it is an important precedent of the Supreme Court. By it, I mean Roe v. Wade and Planned Parenthood versus Casey. Been reaffirmed many times. Casey is precedent on precedent.
I do not believe that Brett Kavanaugh will overturn.
Precedents are overturned all the time.
They aren't overturned all the time. He views precedent not just as a legal doctrine, but as rooted in our Constitution.
Neil Gorsuch, for whom you voted, don't you think he's probably going to vote to overturn Roe versus Wade if given the chance?
I actually don't.
Roe is not a super precedent because calls for its overruling have never ceased, but that doesn't mean that Roe should be overruled.
Now, that was the Midas Touch ad. Don Winslow, the book author, he has decided, first of all, he's retiring from writing, and he's focused all of his energy on producing videos to hit back at the GOP. This is what he has put together.
Roe v. Wade and Planned Parenthood versus Casey. Been reaffirmed many times.
And scholars across the spectrum say that doesn't mean that Roe should be overruled.
A fetus is not a person for purposes of the 14th Amendment. And the book explains that.
Do you accept that?
That's the law of the land. I accept the law of the land, Senator, yes.
If I'm beaten and raped, I have to give birth to the baby of my rapist. If I am raped by my father, brother, or uncle and get pregnant, I have to give birth to the baby of my family abuser. This new law is so draconian that I can be prosecuted for having an abortion, and so can my doctors, friends, and family who advise me, or even the Uber driver who simply drives me to the clinic. This is madness. The same people who have been protesting and screaming, "My body, my choice," when it comes to the COVID vaccine, are now saying I don't have any control over my own body. Republicans won't require a 12-year-old girl to wear a mask in school that may save her life and the lives of other children, but they will force her to keep a baby regardless of how she got pregnant, including rape and incest. I am a woman, and I have a constitutional right to make decisions for my own body. I am a woman, and I have a human right to refuse to give birth to my rapist's baby. I am a woman. This is my body. I am a woman. This is the United States of America. I am a woman. You do not own or control my mind or my body. Shame on the men and women who passed this law, and shame on anyone who sits in silence while women suffer and die because of it.
Now, those are, again, some of the videos that have already been put together when it comes to the issue of Roe v. Wade that is already circulating on social media. But I told you about what's also happening again in these campaigns, how Tim Ryan and the Democrats are not waiting at all when it comes to telling people the truth about their opponent, J.D. Vance. And so what is happening there as well. So I'm going to show you a commercial that Ryan's folks have already they put out last night that gives you a sense of the thinking of J.D. Vance. And so check this commercial out from Congressman Tim Ryan.
People may not always agree with my rhetoric, but I think, unfortunately, our country's kind of a joke.
J.D. Vance left Ohio for San Francisco to make millions and invest in companies that profit from globalization and free trade. He became a celebrity, CNN analyst, and a big hit at Washington cocktail parties. Now Vance says he feels out of place in Ohio, and he wants to represent you in the Senate? What a joke.
I'm Tim Ryan, and I approve this message.
Now, of course, Vance was one of those never-Trumpers. And, you know, Trump said, oh, a lot of people said things about me when he endorsed him, but other people are saying, yeah, we're not going to quite let you guys forget what J.D. Vance had to say. I'm going to pull up in a second the Lincoln Project ad, so check this one out.
The Lincoln Project salutes our fellow never-Trump activist, J.D. Vance. He led the way in opposing Trump in 2016, even calling Trump our Hitler.
J.D. Vance speculated that Trump might be America's Hitler.
Trump is the fruit of the party's collective neglect. I go back and forth between thinking Trump is a cynical a-hole like Nixon or that he's America's Hitler.
Are you a racist? J.D. joined John Kasich as the only major Republicans in Ohio to vote against Donald Trump in 2016, and he boldly told the truth about Trump voters.
We are, whether we like it or not, the party of lower income, lower education white people.
Trump is cultural heroin.
Fellow Christians, everyone is watching us when we apologize for this man.
J.D. Vance is a multimillionaire big tech banker with a degree from Yale, our kind of candidate. He gets it. J.D. Vance for Senate, the Lincoln Project candidate.
Again, folks, you're already seeing in terms of how the framing is shaping up and what is going on here. But I am going to just show you, again, one more Lincoln Project ad before I go to my panel. Watch this.
One person coming in from China. It's going to be just fine. We have it very well under control. My administration will take all necessary steps to safeguard our citizens from this threat. A lot of people think that goes away in April. I think it's going to work out fine. We have it very much under control. We're very close to a vaccine. Because of all we've done, the risk to the American people remains very low. 15 within a couple of days is going to be down to close to zero. One day, it's like a miracle. It will disappear. And this is their new hoax. Unfortunately, one person passed away overnight. You take a solid flu vaccine, you don't think that would have an impact or much of an impact on corona? Anybody that needs a test gets a test. It will go away, just stay calm. I don't take responsibility at all. It's something that we have tremendous control over. We're not going to let the cure be worse than the problem. I hope we can do this by Easter. The CDC is advising the use of non-medical cloth face covering, so it's voluntary. You don't have to do it.
Just minutes after a Fox News report on the demonstrations, the president began tweeting, "Liberate Minnesota, liberate Michigan, and liberate Virginia."
And I see the disinfectant where it knocks it out. Is there a way we can do something like that by injection inside? Or this is going to go away? This is going to go away without a vaccine. We have met the moment, and we have prevailed. Many of these people aren't very sick, but they still go down as a case. The virus is abating, dying out. The Chinese virus, Kung Flu, I have done a phenomenal job with it. The reason we have more cases than other countries is because our testing is so much. Kung Flu, I think that at some point that's going to sort of just disappear. We are likewise getting under control. We show cases, 99% of which are totally harmless. We want to get our schools open. Didn't listen to my experts. We have therapies and we have vaccines. You're losing a lot of lives by keeping things closed. So we're at about 135,000 and we'll be at somewhat higher than that by the time it ends. It will probably, unfortunately, get worse before it gets better. That's the way it is. That's the way it is. That's the way it is. That's the way it is.
The Lincoln Project.
And of course, we have now crossed 1 million deaths from COVID. Let's go to our panel. A. Scott Bolden, former chair, National Bar Association Political Action Committee. He is, of course, attorney here in D.C. Robert Patillo, executive director of the Rainbow Push Coalition Peachtree Street Project out of Atlanta. Monique Presley, legal analyst and crisis manager here in D.C. All right, glad to have all three of you here. So let's get right to it. First of all, do any of you believe that this effort by Democrats, and we saw Hillary Clinton do this in 2016, we saw Joe Biden do it in 2020 to sort of try to separate Donald Trump from the rest of the Republican Party, when in fact he is the Republican Party. Do you think trying to make Trump the centerpiece or the target makes sense in the midterms? Who wants to go first?
I'll take it. No, this is stupid. This is a losing strategy. This is how you lose campaigns. The American people do not vote backwards, so to say. You don't remember who the Super Bowl champion was in 2020. You don't remember who won the World Series off the top of your head, unless it was your team. You barely remember who won the NBA championship in 2020. So by centering the 2022 race on 2020, you're, by its very nature, backwards looking and backwards facing. Just say to yourself this. During any of those commercials that were just playing, because you played a litany of them from both sides of the aisle, did you pay attention to the commercial or did you look down at your phone? Did you pay attention to the commercial or did you go get something to eat and come back? Did you pay attention to the commercial or did you open another browser on your computer or a browser window on your computer and look up flight deals to try to buy a pair of shoes? Those are not engaging ads because they do not address the issues of today. What Democrats need to be running on, quite frankly, are their victories, the points you put on the board. Give them something to the voters, something that they can care about, something they can latch on to, and have some hope for the future. The more that you talk about Donald Trump, the more you keep him at the center of American politics, you allow him to create the argument, create the conversation. And remember, nostalgia is a hell of a drug. So there's a lot of people who are sitting here looking at $5 and $6 a gallon gas, 6% interest rates on houses, haven't got a stimmy in a couple years now, rising prices of milk and groceries, and they're starting to think back nostalgically, well, things weren't that bad before. So you have to give them counter messaging to that going forward about what you're going to do on student loans, what you're going to do on voting rights, what you're going to do on criminal justice reform, what are you going to do to address the issues of the day, how are you going to beat back Russian aggression and Eastern Europe. There's a litany of issues that you can be running on, but simply running campaign ads about Donald Trump from 2 and 3 years ago is not going to get the job done. I implore Democrats, call me, call Scott, call Monique, call Roland. Any of us can scribble out on a cocktail napkin a better ad than any of those that you're paying these high-priced D.C. and New York firms to run for you, because all you are doing is reinforcing Republican messaging that they are the center of American politics, and simply put, Democrats are just a vassal out here snipping from the sidelines, when indeed they are in power and have the power to enact policy.
But the thing here, Monique, is if you look at what Tim Ryan there did. First of all, if you look at that particular ad, he mentions CNN analysts. He mentions Vance going to Yale, talked about him going to San Francisco, working for tech companies, because he's trying to present himself as being, a regular guy. He's not one of the elites, when the fact of the matter is, he is one of the elites. His campaign is being funded by Theo, a billionaire, one of the elites. And so Ryan is portraying himself as being someone more in line with these blue-collar workers in Ohio, being from Youngstown, Ohio himself. And so that's sort of why he's saying, and here's a guy who said all the things about Trump, and all of a sudden now he's flipped and changed his tune. Do you think that, along with other messaging, is a smart strategy for Tim Ryan?
Not necessarily, but I believe that in terms of the focus on COVID, which I didn't think the other commercial was a focus on Trump alone, it was a focus on COVID. And I don't think that it's wrong to acknowledge in more than a blip that over 1 million people have died because of inept leadership, not just of the president, but of the Republican Party, and that the Republican Party is still tied to corrupt, amoral, inept, incompetent criminal leadership. I do think that matters, and I think that the 1 million families and communities connected to those families that are represented by the deaths do care about those things. Inside politics is what it is, and I think that people see through anyway, whether you're trying to say that you are not elite because one went to a fancy school and another one didn't. I think our politics is much more striated than that, and that it wouldn't matter if a person had been Harvard and Wharton School of Business and were declared to be a Trumpkin, they would still carry the day. They could be as elite as they could be, and it wouldn't matter because we are on sides. We are firmly planted on sides now, and I would hope that death, tragedy, etc., would move the needle, because if it doesn't, nothing can.
So you have this impending decision by the Supreme Court, Scott, when it comes to Roe v. Wade. You've got these Republican-run states that are already passing these various laws. Some believe that Roe v. Wade is going to serve as a significant mobilizing, organizing opportunity for Democrats when it comes to the midterms. Granted, all we have now is a leaked draft. We have not actually had the Supreme Court render their decision. Some say it will come down in June. Do you believe that it will actually serve that particular purpose? And can Democrats take advantage of the anger, if you will, that will result from their side if the Supreme Court follows through?
Well, it depends. You know, I think Roe v. Wade, who benefited the most from the leak of that document, which was extraordinary in the legal industry. It just never happened.
Actually, it does. The exact same thing happened with the initial Roe v. Wade. The initial Roe v. Wade. That was the actual leak of the decision.
No, I said it hardly ever gets leaked.
Every other decade.
Yeah, I mean, it happens. And here's the other deal. There are leaks in every form of government out there. So ain't like the Supreme Court is somehow just so holy. I mean, hell, you got leaks out of the Vatican.
Well, I don't know how often it gets leaked, but I in my lifetime, I've never seen a draft signed by 5 people that was leaked while it was circulating within the Supreme Court. Things get leaked all the time in Washington, but it is the holy grail, if you will, and the commitment of those lawyers, and they're all lawyers there working on the Supreme Court. I do think that's extraordinary. It begs the question as to who benefits most. The Democrats are going to be mobilized now because they see the writing on the wall. The Republicans are going to be mobilized because they see hope on the wall. But again, I don't think that changes anything until the vote, until the actual opinion comes out, because that draft goes through a lot of changes. I do think this: if Roe v. Wade is not reversed when they've got the votes, it'll be something close to it, whereby they just allow the states to rule the way the states want to rule, and they delegate it to the states and stuff. And that's the end of Roe v. Wade anyway. But I think the Democrats, as I've often said, aren't going to lose the midterms because of an energized Republican base. They're going to lose because their base isn't energized, because they haven't delivered on the political promises to their base. Sure, a lot of women will be up in arms and fighting for the elections and the midterms, but the Congress won't have anything to do and can't change anything, at least not before this decision comes down. What they can do is overrule it, and whoever wins Congress is going to be in control of that. And I just don't think the Dems have done enough to energize their base to win the midterms in 2022.
Well, but this that puts a point though is again it still can serve as in a way to rally the base, Robert. If you obviously message it appropriately, but also if you actually mobilize really what should operate as the future of your core votes, that is young voters. But the question that still stands out here is when you're talking about trying to win, you're going up against headwinds, obviously. But to me, there is an opportunity, but you actually have to do it. I think one of the things that people are saying is they want to see some level of fight out of Democrats. You don't want to have this constant drumbeat of, oh, we're going to lose, we're going to lose, we're going to get crushed. You see these stories in Politico and Axios, and let's just be clear, the average person is not seeing those stories, but people also want to see folks who are going to fight. And I think that's what these Democratic candidates are also going to have to showcase when they are running in the fall.
It's a good idea in theory, but it depends on what you think the Democratic base is. Because Roe as an issue in large part motivates a very particular class of middle class white women who fear that their rights are going to be taken away and trampled. Our question has always been and remains, well, where the hell were you at when we were fighting for voting rights? Where were you at for criminal justice reform? Where are you at for the other parts of the Democratic agenda? That we're all allies here, if we're all working together. You seem to be kind of absent when the rest of us have issues. And we had this topic on my radio show that black men saying, well, why do I need to be up in arms around Roe when these same people were telling me to be up in arms around Roe v. Wade weren't there for us on criminal justice reform? So I think it's going to come down to where exactly Democrats are willing to exert their effort. Will we get an executive order on voting rights? Will we get an executive order on criminal justice reform? Will they make abortion a central aspect of their reelection campaign? Because also there are risks with that. Because in the Deep South, immediately say someone like Warnock, where you're in a Bible Belt state, so a state like Ohio running against J.D. Vance, then it may not play as well as it does in Washington, D.C., New York, or California, and other states. So I don't know if that is enough of an issue to drag the Democrats across the finish line, but I think you still have enough time between now and, let's say, Labor Day to really push through some aggressive actions that will motivate people to turn out, because there is a malaise over the party right now where they almost seem as if there's nothing they can do given the economic headwinds and all the other challenges the administration and Congress have faced, and also this almost appearance that nothing is going on, nothing is happening. Since Build Back Better failed last year, it seems there hasn't been any real big legislation even attempted. So because of that, nobody is really motivated and knocking on doors and holding rallies. And another thing, we see a Donald Trump rally for a different candidate every single weekend somewhere around this country. Where are the Democrats who are doing that same thing for their candidates? Where's President Obama, for example, campaigning for Warnock already, or campaigning in some of these other states? Where's Hillary Clinton and Bill showing up early? Don't come to me during GOTV. These people are getting out here and they are fighting right now nationwide, state to state. President Trump is getting involved in state Senate races, House races on the state level. We need to have that same energy on this side of the aisle. So if you ain't fighting as hard, you can't be mad when you lose. Just like in boxing, the round, the points, they go to the puncher. We're not the puncher right now.
Well, that was one of the things
Robert,
that I said.
Robert,
go ahead.
Can I ask a question? Robert, did you disabuse your caller of the notion that the interruption in right to privacy and access to abortion was not a Black male issue?
I'm not in the position to tell them what their issues are. I'm a listener, not a thought leader. It's the job of the party to advise as to what the policy positions need to be. So if we want to get out there and fight on that issue, by all means, let's run some ads, let's do all those things. But we're trying to understand what people think already. And if that's what they think, then someone's going to have to put some money in there to change those hearts and minds nationwide.
No, but I thought you said that he asked why he should care because they don't care about our issues. And I thought maybe you would have answered and said, a disproportionate larger number of Black women get abortions than any other race, and that we are more likely to die in poverty and lack of quality access to health care when the abortions are not available in red states and we don't have the money to cross state lines to get them elsewhere, and we are more likely to die being forced to stay pregnant because Black maternal health care in this country is crap. And the Black men who are not fathering these children and staying there to support them are the ones who are on the other side of these Black women who are largely single, over 20, have some education, living beneath the poverty line, and are choosing, after having multiple children, to have an abortion instead. So I would hope somebody would tell a Black man, it's your issue, it's your sister's issue, it's your daughter's issue, it's your mama's issue, it's your auntie's issue, it's the women you sleep with's issue, and it matters. Don't nobody have to give you nothing in return for it to matter. You ought care. And if y'all don't feel comfortable telling a Black man he ought to care, I sure do.
Yeah, well, how can you paint such a broad brush against Black manhood and malehood by saying
I'm just giving you numbers. I'm not painting a broad brush. I respect the Black men who are on this show, and I'm sure
Scott, hold on. Scott, hold on. Monique, Scott, hold on. Scott, hold on. Scott, hold on. Monique, hold on. Monique, finish your point. I'm going back to Scott. Listen, no one can hear or you over talking. Either one. So again, Monique finished, then I'm going to Scott.
Scott, unless you're just a hit dog, hollering, don't take what I'm saying personal, because I am talking about numbers. I am talking about data. I am talking about facts. The women who get the majority of the abortions in this country. We are disproportionately represented. Black women. When I said we, I didn't say it because I'm one of the ones doing it. I'm 51 with 3 children. I'm not having any more, and I haven't been pregnant for almost 17 years, over 17 years. I'm saying we because I'm a Black woman, and it's an issue I care about as a Black woman because I got a Black daughter, I got Black sisters, I got Black cousins, and I know that the people who do it, I can send you the Washington Post data, I can send you the World Review population data, I can send you what was just released in The Guardian. These are all 2021, 2022 numbers. And the women, first largest percentage is Black, then Hispanic, and then white women, a third, right? A third of white women. All those numbers are large, but I'm saying it's not young teen pregnancies. It's women over 20 years old in their later 20s with multiple children already who are single, who have some postgraduate education, and who are living at or close to the poverty line. Those are the numbers. Those are the numbers. I can give you the numbers on whether they're receiving child support or not. I can give you the numbers on whether the fathers are in their lives or not. And don't get me wrong. I understand the over-incarceration of the Black man that has led to the lack of availability. So don't get in your feelings about this. I am saying this should matter to our community. It should matter, period.
Now, Scott.
You gave her 2 shots rolling.
I said, Scott, I said go. Stop whining about it and go. Scott, don't whine about it. Go.
I'm not in my feelings. I take exception to what you said. And part of what you said was that Black men were impregnating Black women and leaving them to fend for themselves. And I think it's fundamentally unfair and offensive for you to paint a broad brush against all Black men. You're not having abortions. You got kids. I'm not having abortions. I got kids. But you cannot paint that brush.
Monique, hold on. Monique, hold on.
Of course, you're not going to let me finish.
Scott, I said you're going to finish. You interrupted her, so I got this. Go.
So I'm not in my feelings, but it's falsehood to say that with a broad brush that Black women are impregnating Black women and then leaving them to fend for themselves, whether they get an abortion or whether they have the kids. It's an unfair broad brush, and you as a Black woman of all people shouldn't be painting that brush. Now, there is a disproportionate ratio. You got to put ratio in there of Black women who are getting abortions compared to white women. But it's a ratio. White women have more abortions total than Black women and brown women. That's a fact, just a population number. So what you said could not be true. At the same time, I agree with everything else you said. I agree. You're a great voice for women issues and black issues and all those other things, right? But do not attack black men, because you cannot represent what you're saying, whether you meant it or not, because there are a lot of great black men out here, get women pregnant, become great fathers. Maybe they support, if they're going to get an abortion, they support black women in abortion. There's some that don't, but by far margin, since I am a black man, I can tell you those numbers that the Washington Post and white America puts up about black men, you ought not be repeating that. And that's what you did.
Okay, listen, are you kidding me? You gonna preach to me about defending black men? I've defended more black men in the entirety of my legal career and crisis management career than every other person who is on this freaking platform. Don't go there with me. Don't go there. What I said to you is that we are disproportionately represented.
Scott,
are you
she's
waiting?
talking. Again, you're not gonna, no one can hear either one of you. So, Scott, you finish. Monique talk. I come back to Scott. Go.
I said that we are disproportionately represented. It was ratio. Maybe you didn't hear me. Obviously, there's more white women because there's more white women. But there is a smaller percentage of black women, and we have a higher ratio, higher disproportionate representation in the numbers. I said that those women are single. I didn't say that they were single, left by deadbeat dads. I acknowledge it for you. It may be over incarceration. They may be single because the man is dead. They may be single because he's in the streets. They may be single because it didn't work out. It doesn't matter. When I said that Robert's caller needs to understand it's a black man issue, because when a black woman decides to keep a child or get an abortion, whether he's in the scene or not, and we're doing it by higher numbers, it matters. It should matter. Whether he is interested in having the child or not, it should matter. Whether he is interested in paying child support or not, it should matter. Whether he is in the home or not, it should matter. It is affecting a large number of black women and thereby black families. And when we lose access to affordable health care to include abortion, it matters to our community. This is not a white woman issue. Efforts to paint it as one, because it's not voting rights, because it's not George Floyd Justice and Policing Act, are false. They are in error. We are dying. We are going to die in higher numbers if we do not have safe access to medical care to make decisions for our bodies. And then you know what they're going to do? We're going to have the babies, and they're going to turn around and call us welfare moms. And they're not going to want to pay for WIC programs. And they're not going to want to make sure that our children are cared for in foster care. And they're not going to want to increase access to adoption centers. And our children are the last ones to get adopted as well. And then our community is going to be mad about white people adopting black babies. And if you don't see how we lose in every single part of this scenario, I can't help you. But this issue,
I didn't disagree with
this
all of
draft
that.
decision, this is our issue. This is our issue.
I never said it wasn't our issue. I disagree. I disagree with how you painted black men. Now, you can say whatever you want to say.
Men, no matter how many times you say it.
I don't disagree with you there.
I paint black
just
men.
spoke out of turn and got checked, and now I'm done with it. I'm done with it.
And Roland, this is why I say this is a bad electoral year issue for Democrats. Because this is pretty much what happened on my show when we talked about it. That it kind of descends into this back and forth very quickly, regardless of what the kind of context around it is. So when you're trying to mobilize for midterm elections, you can't be splintering your base on issues. You have to be running on issues that have broad support, where you're not going to start arguments within your own party. The argument has to be of the other side of the aisle. This is why I'm saying that it has to be a coalition coming together, because I had another caller say, well, are they going to address child support at the same time they're addressing abortion? Women get mad when you say that. However, for a big population of black men, they say, well, if we're going to be addressing family planning and so on and so forth, we need to address that at the same time. This is why it's a bad electoral year issue for Democrats. I don't think that it actually benefits them going into the midterms.
Well,
because they got bigger problems with black people and black voters, like voting rights and the George Floyd Act. They didn't deliver. As tough as it is, they didn't deliver. And the voting and your super voters may come out.
Got it.
Other voters of color just aren't going to get there.
All right, folks.
I want some vasectomies and some child support at the point of conception. And then we'll see whose issue it is.
All right, folks. 1 second, hold up. In Louisiana, slave descendants are trying to keep a company from building a $400 million grain elevator along the Mississippi River using corrupt rezoning used for industry for decades. Watch this.
In 1991, control of this historic land in Louisiana was extorted from residents and handed to industry by former St. John Parish President Lester Millett Jr. He was convicted for the criminal backroom deal, but the illegal zoning was never corrected. Today, San Francisco developer Christopher James is exploiting this corrupt zoning to build the Wallace Grain Elevator, which would bring even more pollution to Cancer Alley. Chris James enjoys praise for his climate activism and his green Sonoma Valley vineyard. Meanwhile, the massive grain terminal he's pushing on St. John threatens the air we breathe and the waters of Lake des Solomons. Families who have owned land in the surrounding neighborhoods for over a century have been shut out of the planning and approval process. If Christopher James is serious about social responsibility, how come our voices don't matter to him? Let's send a message that we deserve better.
Gentlemen, now Dr. Joy Banner, the co-founder of the Descendants Project from Wallace, Louisiana. All right, so first and foremost, we've been talking about this Cancer Alley, and how were y'all able to stop this project from moving forward?
So, like the commercial stated, we really didn't have prior notice of this, almost only until a public notice was released in March. So when we found out about this in March 2021, we had to immediately start organizing. Our parish didn't tell us anything, even though there was communication between Greenfield and council members and other governmental agencies about this. We were not given that information. So we had to organize pretty quickly. And what we did to stop it is we immediately let the community know. We gave the transparency that Greenfield and our parish should have given us. And since then, we have two sets of attorney teams that's representing us. We have Tulane Environmental Law Clinic that is helping us push back against the permits that Greenfield is applying for. And then we have the Center for Constitutional Rights that is representing us for our lawsuit against St. John the Baptist Parish. So again, it is engaging the community, making sure that our voices are heard, and then also, looking at understanding that the public process, the rights that are due us, that we should have had, we should be able to go to our council meetings and, be able to put this on the agenda and have a discussion about this. But since that wasn't happening, after we appealed to our council members in our parish to communicate with us and that wasn't happening, then we went forward with the lawsuit.
And so how is this also galvanizing other people who are not descendants to stop these type of projects from moving forward?
Right, and so this is not necessarily about us as descendants, but it is environmental racism. So the reason why we center the descendant community so much is because we are in, Louisiana's Cancer Alley, which is also the same geographic area as plantation country. So we have, along the Mississippi River outside of Louisiana, outside of New Orleans, there were hundreds of plantations that were there. And after emancipation, you had still these, tight networks of people that were enslaved on these plantations or ancestors that were enslaved that ended up locating right next to these plantations. And so that's why the fact that we are a descendant community is something that is not unique to our small community, but is, representative of so many people along, that 83-mile stretch of river that's known as Cancer Alley, and that we're predominantly Black. And so this is, environmental racism. I also call it environmental classism, because I think people see certain communities and believe that we are not able to fight back.
So, so what's next for you?
So at the moment, we are waiting, for the response from the judge who denied Greenfield's motion to dismiss our case. And we are definitely looking forward to being able to have this case heard and the merits of the case to be discussed. There are so many contradictions in the zoning, which is there to protect us and to protect public safety. And, it is very, very discouraging. It's very frightening that the parish, even though we have pointed out, via their own information, that we have so much inconsistencies in the zoning, in the buffer zones that, are supposed to be designed to protect us, that, there's so many that's conflicting information. There's erroneous information. There are things that are against, what our ordinances say they should be. And so our safety is at risk. And so we are looking forward to that all coming out in the court.
All right, then. Well, look, we surely appreciate it. Keep up the good fight. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
All right, this issue, folks, is the type of issue the Poor People's Campaign has been working on for quite some time. In fact, Reverend William Barber and others have actually been there to Louisiana's Cancer Alley dealing with this issue. On June 18th, the Poor People's Campaign and low-wage workers are going to be actually in D.C. for their Memorial March, addressing this issue and so many others. Joining us now is a member of the Apache Stronghold community fighting to protect their Holy Land. And also joining us is Reverend Liz Theo Harris, co-convener of the Poor People's Campaign. So I want to thank both of you here. Is Vanessa Nosey? Vanessa Nosey, glad to have you here, Vanessa. Yes. And Reverend Liz Theo Harris, glad to have you as well. Vanessa, what you just heard there is similar to the battle that y'all are engaged in and others, that like here you are fighting and battling, and you're not getting lots of media attention. You're not getting lots of broad coverage, but these things still matter to affected people.
Yes, definitely. The indigenous people here being the first people of this nation, and yet have been disregarded on their spirituality, and also being at the forefront fighting for the environmental injustice that is going to affect everyone as a whole, no matter what race you are or what religion you believe in.
And Liz, again, when we talk about what's happening there in Louisiana's Cancer Alley, what's happening on these various reservations, here are people, MSNBC, ABC, NBC, CBS, these networks, they're not there. They're not actually covering these stories on a daily basis, so it's hard to gain traction. And so you need to have mobilized and organized forces like the Poor People's Campaign to be able to raise these issues to the national consciousness.
No, that's exactly right. I mean, and you have powerful heroes and heroines, fighting these battles, whether it's in Oak Flat with the Apache Stronghold or whether it's Rise Up St. James in Cancer Alley, and these amazing, grassroots efforts of people impacted who, are declaring that victory is going to be mine, and keeping on organizing, keeping on coming back, and these especially powerful women leaders, but poor and impacted folk, making sure that the nation and the world pays attention to the pain, but also the power coming out of these communities.
Indeed. And Vanessa, when you talk about this battle that y'all are in, how long have you been waging this battle?
Well, for me, as an Indigenous person, I was raised that we've been fighting this from the first breath we take. We are people that weren't supposed to survive. We're supposed to be extinct. And so our battle has continued from the day that we've been born. And with the Resolution Copper and the Oak Flat issue, we've been fighting that for over 20 years. And it's been, at the very beginning, yes, it was a religious fight for the Apache people to protect a holy site, but it became a state of Arizona fight. Then it became a United States fight. Now it's international, because if my religion is at stake, and that means everyone's religion is at stake. And if they continue to destroy our natural resources, we won't have a world to live in. And we as Indigenous people think 7 generations ahead. And what kind of world are we going to leave our future generations? My great-grandchildren's, yours, this whole world. Nothing's going to be left to survive on if these corporations and the United States government continue to have the mindset of profit and not the well-being of our people.
And Liz, the copper mine that she's speaking of, again, that was impacted by policymakers, elected officials. I'm always trying to connect the dots for our audience to understand that not voting then empowers somebody who does vote, and what they did in this case could happen again if you got the wrong person who's in office.
That's exactly right. I mean, John McCain, puts in this sneaks it into policy, but it has the potential and possibility of being undone, right? I mean, they can immediately, Congress has the power right now to save Oak Flat. And so it is that our votes matter. It is that our organizing matters and our voices matter. And so, that's why we in the Poor People's Campaign are continuing to enliven and enlarge this electorate of poor and low income people, calling out to candidates and to elected officials that, 1/3 of this electorate in these United States, are poor and low income people. And we need to hear about the issues and demands and priorities of people in the elections. And then we need to see people who are willing to actually pass the kinds of policies that people need and are demanding, like saving Oak Flat, like regulating Cancer Alley, like, passing a child tax credit, and lifting up families in West Virginia and Alabama and Pennsylvania and all across the country.
Questions from our panel. Monique, you're first.
No, I don't have one. I'm just wondering what we can do to support.
Liz?
Great. So the Poor People's Campaign is organized in more than 40 states across the country. We would love people to get involved in our coordinating committees, and you can reach out to whatever state you live in. If it's Arizona at poorpeoplescampaign.org. You can go to our website, www.poorpeoplescampaign.org, and we are mobilizing for the largest gathering of poor and low-income people in this country's history on June 18th. And so we need everybody to come out to Washington, D.C. for a mass Poor People and Low-Wage Workers Assembly, a moral march on Washington and to the polls. And that's going to be, gathering in Washington, D.C. on Pennsylvania Avenue at 9 a.m. Eastern time, and the event will start at 10 a.m. and it's going to be powerful, and we need to hear and see people with us there.
Scott?
Yeah, good evening. Marches are super important. They're game changers in the social, political, and economic movement. But I've always believed that the showing of a strong march and a strong presence should lead to the follow-up and the real hard work that comes after that. Once you do this march, let's say you have 1 million people show up at the march, powerful speeches, the political arena, Republican and Democrats, not only see and hear you, but what happens next? What is the work that needs to be done post-march to really make this not only effective, but deliver the results that America needs to service or serve those 140 million people who are either low income or have low wages?
Vanessa first, then Liz. Vanessa?
Well, one, it's, to talk about for Indigenous people, and I think it's a part of healing for all people, is to talk about the deceit on how America was founded. And to know that what they did to the Indigenous people and relocating us and taking us from our homelands and putting us on these trusted lands by the government called reservation is it didn't reinvent the wheel when it came to everybody else. They put you guys as the same as us as Indigenous people. For those that are low wage, that are suffering all these injustice, they're doing the same thing to you guys that they did to the Indigenous people so many years ago, centuries ago. So it starts now. It starts gathering. It starts coming together and taking those stands and not be a bystander, and reaching out to those politicians that have the power to make change and remind them that that they're in there because of us, and knowing that we all need to come together and unify and stand one next to the other, one in prayer and two in making these changes, and those that are held responsible to their word and to actually do what's best for the people.
Rembliss?
And why we're calling it a mass moral march on Washington and to the polls is about, us going back into our states, into our communities, and keeping on organizing and building up that power. Right now, the Poor People's Campaign is organized in almost every state of the country, and that's trying to be permanently organized communities. Folks that both can respond and react to the policies that get passed that take away our rights, that deny our dignity, that try to take away our health care or wages, but also so that we can be organized and unified and coming together across all the lines that divide us to be able to demand, all of the priorities of people, that 140 million and all the different groupings that make up that group. And so that the whole idea of a moral march on Washington is then to go back. And if we listen to, the words of Dr. King from the March on Washington in 1963, we often, just pay attention to the stage and even to the crowd. But the message there was go back to Mississippi, go back to Alabama, go back to Arizona. And that's exactly what's happening. We're going to be nationalizing these state-based movements and keeping on pushing from the ground up.
Robert?
Thank you. I would love to connect with you guys after this and see what we can do together to coordinate on these issues. I'm from Columbus, Georgia. The reason I mention that is Columbus is located in Muskogee County. Our high school mascot was the Kendrick Cherokees. Our baseball team was the Columbus Red Sticks. Anyone who knows American history knows that it's ground zero for the Trail of Tears. America has a long and sordid history of the destruction of the indigenous people of this country, which continues until this day. Having Democrats in power in the House, the Senate, the White House, who are the federal officials who have been the most supportive, and who do we need to be reaching out to pressure while Democrats still have a majority in the House and the Senate to work on these issues and actually make some progress? There's one thing to have marches, there's another thing to have people who are willing to sponsor legislation in the House and the Senate, people who are willing to put appropriations into bills, people who are willing to really go to the mat to fight for the community.
Vanessa, you want to go first?
Yeah, Congressman Raul Grijalva has put in the Save Oak Flat bill in the House, and then we have Senator Bernie Sanders, who also has one in the Senate. So they have been our biggest, on the political level, pushing to return what Congress did to us back in 2014. And so we're continuing to ask everyone, no matter where you're at, is to reach out to your congresspeople, to reach out to your senators, because it does need congressional decision made to overturn them from destroying our holy land, Oak Flat. So we have the two both in the House. There is a bill in them. Now we just need them to push it. Now we need them to vote on it. Now we need them to actually make that change and acknowledge the indigenous people. Oak Flat set such a precedent, not just on a religious genocide, but also on environmental injustice. And so many people and so many towns and cities are going to be heavily impacted with such an environmental destruction. But also, if Arizona goes through with this, that sets the precedents for the whole United States. So please, that's where we're at, along with the Poor People Campaign being such a big support on getting those politicians to recognize us and asking them to support the Save Oak Flat Act.
And what as a whole across the states the Poor People's Campaign has done is indeed worked with different congresspeople to introduce a resolution. We have a third Reconstruction resolution fully addressing poverty and low wages from the bottom up. that was introduced in this congressional session. And, it's about trying to win more and more of our Congress people around, the needs and priorities of the 140 million. We have demands around Oak Flat in there, but around voting rights, around, many of the policies and legislative, suggestions that could really address things. I mean, we have, been trying to push everyone in the House, in the Senate, in the White House, but especially focusing on Congress, to protect and expand voting rights, to pass and extend a child tax credit and invest economically in our children and our elders, in healthcare, to have climate resilient jobs. And we've seen Manchin and Sinema and a whole bunch of Republicans blocking all of the things that actually the vast majority of Americans are wanting. And so we've been trying to keep up that pressure. And now we will keep on, in these midterms, making sure that candidates know how important it is to actually pass policies that lift from the bottom so everybody can rise. So we've been able to work with the Progressive Caucus and the Black Caucus and many of different gatherings and groupings of politicians. But our movement is a movement of the people. We never actually endorse candidates. We're not partisan. We're deeply political, and we make sure that those demands, those solutions that are out there, that are at hand, are out in the public square, and pushing our politicians to actually pass them and protect the rights of the people.
Then Vanessa, Reverend Liz Theo Harris, we certainly appreciate both of you coming on, and we'll all be getting ready for June 18th.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Roland.
All right. Thanks a bunch. All right, folks, got to go to the break. We come back. We're going to talk SWAC, television deals. Out. What's going on with what many call the premier conference for HBCUs? We'll discuss that next on Roland Martin Unfiltered right here on the Black Star Network.
We welcome you to the launch of the Mass Poor People's Low Wage Assembly and Moral March on Washington, D.C., June 18, 2022.
We are a new, unsettling force, and we are powerful. A new, unsettling force, and we are here.
We're rising up to demonstrate the compelling power that we, poor and low-income people, have to reconstruct society from the bottom up.
And we need to do it with the loudest voices possible, the biggest actions possible.
Because we know that there is no scarcity in this land. The only scarcity is the moral will to do what's right.
Hold on, just a little while longer.
We are those with sub-minimum wage jobs who can't afford sky-high rent.
People with disabilities are the fastest growing minority group.
It's crazy to me that in 2021, it's still legal for workplaces to pay a sub-minimum wage to people with disabilities.
There are still so much trial and tribulations that we go through as Indigenous people. We can't get a decent wage to sustain ourselves, nor can we get adequate housing.
Veterans across this nation say enough is enough. We can't pat essential workers on the back on one day and then cut their health care the next day.
Health is a political choice.
What more do I need to do to prove that my voice is just as valuable as anyone else's?
There are still forces in denial that would try to slow walk our transition to a clean economy and a just future for us all.
We have an immoral system run by immoral people.
But together we walk, and we walk and we fight.
It's time for a change! Reconstruyamos esta gran nación!
See, we are people of resilience. As we fight these interlocking injustices together.
When we work together, mobilize together, and rise together,
We become a voice for the voiceless, and we become an agent of change in a time where great change is needed.
We need the third Reconstruction to ensure that deaf people, people with disabilities, and all people can have the right to live and to thrive.
We know what they are doing, but the question is, what are we going to do? Reconstruction begins when we change our mentality and say it's time for you to get your foot off of my neck.
Justice is coming soon. Hey, do you believe that of today?
So do me a favor and think for 1 second about your mother. What comes to mind? Probably too many things to comprehend right now. Our moms, whether they're with us or not, are still probably the most impactful person in our lives. On the next A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie, a tribute to our mothers. You won't want to miss it here on Black Star Network.
Hey, I'm Deion Cole from Blackish.
Hey, I'm Arnaz J. Black TV does matter, dang it.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's your boy Jacob Lattimore, and you're now watching Roland Martin right now.
Stay woke.
All right, folks. So a month ago, I told y'all about the need for HBCUs to better monetize their content. One of the things that I said is that HBCUs need not be operating as sharecroppers, giving away their content. One of the things that I said is that HBCU presidents and their board of trustees should be looking at every single one of their contracts, breaking these contracts down, looking at how can they maximize their revenue. And so one of the things that's been happening is we've had lots of conversations with regards to the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and we talked about a month ago announcing a deal with Byron Allen's HBCU Go with regards to airing SWAC games, but we haven't got any details on what that contract is, which is sort of weird because if you look at the other major conferences out there, not even the major conferences, the mid-major conferences, whenever they sign new television rights deals, they announce the terms, how much they're getting, things along those lines. But also what has been happening when we've seen this, we've also seen this back and forth, and we've seen some drama at Florida A&M, which recently joined the SWAC conference, announcing their athletic director was resigning abruptly, and allegations, whispers coming out that, he had signed deals without university knowledge with regards to with a black-owned media company, Urban Edge Networks. Full disclosure, Urban Edge Networks handles the third-party sales for us at the Black Star Network. And so we want to talk about this here. And one of the folks who's really been breaking this thing down is Scotty, host of Off Script. Of course, you see his YouTube show. Folks, you check it out. He's there daily. He joins us now from Atlanta. And Scotty, this has really been an interesting conversation back and forth because when it was announced that Urban Edge had launched this digital channel with Grambling, gave them their own channel on their app, HBCU League Pass Plus, and they were doing the exact same thing with Florida A&M, then the SWAC, the commissioner, came out and said that they couldn't do that. They couldn't do any of these things along those lines. You've been talking about this for quite some time as well. So just share with us just what jumps out at you on this whole back and forth with Urban Edge Networks, but then Byron Allen's HBCU Go, and then saying who can and cannot do what when the SWAC's own rules don't necessarily preclude that.
Appreciate you for having me on, Mr. Martin. Big fan. But you're absolutely right. It's a lot of back and forth going on between FAMU, SWAC office, and other HBCUs. But the biggest thing to me is that there's no clarity in whatever the commissioner's saying or what he isn't saying about the actual media deals that ESPN has for exclusivity for the SWAC games. And then on top of that, the secondary rights that these other companies can come in and they can promote and they can sponsor games and do that thing and do those as well.
So let's hold right there. So the SWAC has a deal with ESPN to air SWAC games. As I said, normally, when we look at these announcements, normally we see a big press release where the conferences tout this 5 or 7 year agreement. Has the SWAC ever done that? Do we even know how long and how much the SWAC gets from this ESPN deal?
Negative. I haven't seen a deal. I haven't seen a number. I've always heard the terms of how long it can be. It's usually a 5-year deal, but there's usually no numbers. Any research I've done does not include numbers on what ESPN is actually paying the SWAC. It's probably the most secretive deal that I've ever seen when it comes to TV media deals and a conference in hand.
And here's a perfect example, okay? So this is July 24th, 2018. This is an ESPN press release. ESPN extends agreement with Big South Conference, will become exclusive media holder through comprehensive rights deal. And when you see this, it says in here how long the deal is, how many games they're talking about, all those different things. Now, in their deal, it doesn't say exactly how much, in the press release, it doesn't say how much the deal is worth. But when we've seen other announcements, SEC, Big 12, packs with other conferences where the terms and the amount was actually released.
Absolutely. But when it comes to the SWAC, it's hush. It's mum, when you're asking about it, or a lot of schools probably haven't even seen their contracts to even know their percentage of what they're getting back. They were just now getting payouts recently from what the SWAC conference has brought in as a whole. So the TV deal isn't to the extent of where they're paying out their members to a high level extent, to where you're getting, your Texas A&M grads and SEC getting millions upon dollars. Well, the SWAC they're not necessarily looking for millions, but they're looking for something. And for having a school to get $15,000 or $20,000 payout for 12 people, I mean, that's like tax return money. It shouldn't be happening to a premier program of HBCU football.
And so let's talk here about, when we begin to talk about in terms of when you say what's going on here. So there was this sort of back and forth between the SWAC when Urban Edge Networks announced they were doing this Grambling channel and this Florida A&M channel. So walk us through that.
So the back and forth is this. So when it started, you had FAMU's AD simply saying that they made the announcement. They had a press release saying that, hey, we have now signed with Urban Edge Network, HBCU Leagues Pass. You can catch our games. Then maybe about three weeks to a month later, you hear that the HBCU Go deal is in process or in works with Byron Allen to cover all media content within the SWAC. Well, that doesn't really partner up, because you can't, if somebody's already in agreement with one school to have their games, that means whatever HBCU Go is, they have to talk to that school to say, hey, you have this deal with this school, we have this deal with the SWAC, what games are available for us to stream? But then on overarching the whole thing, everybody says ESPN has exclusivity. So it's all confusing. You're saying, okay, so individual schools can stream their own games. Then FAMU goes and gets a media company to stream their games. But then all of a sudden, ESPN is exclusive. There's so much to this triangle and to this love affair of what SWAC can and can't do, that there's a little ambiguity in it as well.
So Courtney Gosha was the athletic director for Florida A&M. And abruptly, a couple of weeks ago, it was announced that he was leaving immediately. Like, anytime you see that happens, you say, "What, were you fired?" or what actually happened here? And so when that came out, then we started seeing these stories on different blogs where they begin to say, well, you know, he signed contracts and the university didn't know. A lot of people may have seen the Florida A&M NASCAR car that was wrapped in FAMU's logo, and some of the HBCUs as well. And in fact, and so those were happening. And so what was interesting about that is this, what we saw. And first of all, let's be clear. Florida A&M, to my understanding, and please let me know, they have not actually had a news conference or a statement explaining why their AD all of a sudden is out the door, correct?
Negative. They have not had an official statement or official press conference. But on the same token, you know, this is the reason, the documents in the contract was supposed to be the reason why he is being let go, to say he didn't have the authority and he overstepped his bounds to do so. But clearly in this contract, you can see at the top, on your top right, is that's the FAMU president. Underneath of him is the former AD Gaucher, and then the VP of admin. And then next to that, you see Peak Sports Management, which made the deal with FAMU to have the rights to license their image. And that's when you see them on the NASCAR and things like that, because that's really where Urban Edge partnered with. Where right here is with Peak Sports. So they didn't have to go through FAMU to do anything. They partnered with Peak. They gave Peak gave Urban Edge the license to do that, and then that's when you have the deal come about.
So I'm gonna walk onto the TV over here. So again, all of the talk that you've heard about he negotiate. So Urban Edge signs the deal with Peak.
Absolutely.
Which means Urban Edge didn't have to call FAMU, because Peak had already, they control those digital rights. Now you have a collegiate licensing. They actually have signed a deal with numerous HBCUs where they handle the licensing deals as well. So you don't actually have. So if collegiate license, if they handle, they already have that. You don't even have to go to the schools. You go to the company that already has a licensing deal. My understanding is that Peak Sports handles the streaming rights for Florida A&M.
Absolutely. And the contract that you have on the screen right now is what we're talking about. You see Larry Robinson, you see Courtney Gaucher, you see Allen Robinson, you see all these entities that have to approve this deal to Peak Sports. They even have the say-so to even give their rights over to Urban Edge to allow them to do so.
Now, for the people who, again, who are unaware and who don't quite understand, collegiate licensing, that's actually controlled by WME, which is one of the major talent agencies. And every single one of these HBCUs pays them, based on my reporting, $6,800 a month for licensing. Well, the question is, how much are these HBCUs getting back? Meaning, when you see your HBCU on a cup, on that NASCAR, when you see them on all sorts, that's licensing fees. And so what I have been saying a month ago to these HBCU presidents and the boards, you should be asking, if you're Florida A&M, you should be asking Peak Sports, how much money are y'all generating for us when it comes to the deals that you're supposed to be negotiating? Who are you talking to? What's going on? And in fact, so with Urban Edge, by going to Peak, so if Urban Edge is now handling the digital rights, that means that Urban Edge is out there with streaming rights talking to advertisers. Now, go ahead and show the graphic where the SWAC commissioner said Urban Edge had no right to negotiate. This was a news conference, and this is what he said. Just for your information, SWAC conference games cannot be streamed or broadcasted on a national basis outside of the conference agreements. In addition, member institutions cannot grant permission to other entities to broadcast games either linear or digitally on a national basis. All conference games are restricted and can only be negotiated by the conference office. That was reported by HBCU Game Day. But that's not correct, is it?
That's definitely not, because neither the SWAC bylaws gives the commissioner full autonomy in doing that. There's nothing in the SWAC bylaws, and I did a show about it earlier, that says that he has full autonomy to do this at the SWAC office. Now, they can consult with him, absolutely, but there is no individual deal that says he is the first and say so. And then anything in the SWAC bylaws that says they have to give any deal that is done individually by schools, they have to give 40% back to the school anyway. So if Urban Edge or
no, to the conference. The school keeps 60, the conference gets 40.
Absolutely. So the conference gets 40%, the school keeps 60. So even if so any school that does a great deal for themselves, they have to give the conference 40%.
In fact, here it is. Here it is right here. Go to my iPad. It says, any conference member who participates in a national, regional, or sectional bowl game and or a televised contest will share as part of its television revenue. It says the participating conference institution will retain 60% of the gross and forward the balance of 40% to the conference office for inclusion in the conference treasury. That's sort of confusing there, Scotty.
I just don't understand how the commissioner continually stops or tries to hinder individual media contracts when the money comes back to him regardless. So if FAMU goes out and signs a major publication or a major media deal, which they did with Urban Edge, and they come back and Urban Edge says, hey, we can give you 10 million, we can give you 5 million, we can give you 4 million a year. Well, 40% of that has to go back to the SWAC conference anyway. So the commissioner looks good regardless, because now he's able to help his members out who aren't as able to get a deal like a FAMU, a Jackson State, a Southern, a Grambling, that don't have those big names, and you're still able to pass out money to the lower levels, the lower member institutions who don't have that fanfare as the top blue bloods of your conference.
Now, isn't there a company that handles the streaming rights for Southern University?
Yes, I believe they are Peak Sports, but the thing with them is they're just a platform that likes to. They're just a platform that just holds it for them. They don't really do. Ooh, that's wrong. Sorry, guys. They're just a platform that does it from what it is and what it's not. So they just hold it. They don't really stream it for them.
So this is why, and I'm gonna pull the panel in because I got 3 lawyers, so I'm sure they've got some lawyerly questions here. But what jumps out at me is, so when you pull up the statement from the SWAC commissioner about games being broadcast, where they can't be broadcast.
All right, there you go.
Now, he said conference games cannot be streamed or broadcast on a national basis outside of the conference agreements. But that's not true, because you can literally go right now and see SWAC games on YouTube, on Facebook. Those are national platforms.
Absolutely.
And so if the individual institutions, and here's the other deal. So based upon this statement, what this says is that the schools don't have any right to negotiate the second window when right now Southern has their game streamed with an outside entity. Florida A&M as well.
It goes deeper than that, Mr.
And in fact, just add one more. The Texas Longhorns, when they were in the Big 12, they had a deal with the Big 12, but they were able to negotiate their own network with ESPN outside of the football games, which meant that they put all their other sports on the Texas Longhorn network that had nothing to do with the Big 12 contract. Football television contract.
Absolutely. So now you're getting to the nuances of what everybody's trying to say, like what you can and can't do. Well, Alcorn is showing their games on their website. Mississippi Valley, they put their games on YouTube. Alabama State, they put their games on YouTube because ESPN is not broadcasting all their games. So there are secondary rights that are just out there that the schools are already doing in place. I believe the only reason that there's no big issue about it is because they're not getting a very deep amount of money. They're not getting a uber amount of money to have their games on YouTube. They're not getting an uber amount of games to have their games on their own networks, on their own TV, on their own school networks and school shows. So you're kind of in a catch-22 when you're saying, okay, I can only control everything, but then when you look out into the masses, you're not controlling anything. I'm
gonna bring in Monique, Robert, and Scott here, and this comes down to me, Robert, about the money. And what I keep arguing, what I keep saying, what I have been saying to the various HBCUs, to presidents, they should be looking over every single contract and saying, who are we giving our rights to? Who's controlling our likeness? How much are we making? The SWAC commissioner announced what last year was the first time they actually had disbursement. They had been losing money. Here's my whole deal. If you have opportunities to actually, if you're the university, to take your content and to create your own channel, and then, perfect example, when I went to Grambling, Robert, Grambling has a channel on HBCU League Pack Plus. Guess what? Grambling should have been carrying my speech on their channel. They should be looking at everything on their campus as content. That's what they should be doing. Robert, go ahead.
Yeah, on that point, have they compared and this is a question for both of you, have they compared what they're trying to do there in the SWAC and another conference, just shout out to the SIAC, to what's going on, let's say, in the SEC and their deal, or the Big Ten and their deal? Why does it seem like they're trying to reinvent the wheel when the other larger conferences have already done similar things? What is actually the driving force behind them not just copying the models that are working in the bigger conferences?
Yeah, of course. They want to do that, but the reality is the big TV dollars comes with viewership. And if you don't have the viewership, you're not getting that. Well, one of the biggest complaints from HBCU fans is not just the game, they want to see the halftime. Well, guess what? When you're watching the game on ESPN, they ain't showing the halftime. And so I made the point that if you're at HBCU, why in the hell are you not streaming your own halftime if that's what your fans want to see? And again, here's the other deal. Where are your games being shown on ESPN 1 or 2? The answer is no. So where are they showing their games? On ESPN Plus, a digital streaming channel. So here's the question. How much money are you getting from the ESPN deal? How many people are watching? Are you getting a cut of the ad revenue? Guess what? If you're simply being shown on ESPN Plus and all you're getting is visibility, well, hell, you might as well say, I'll create my own channel. If I sell it to 5,000 of my fans for $4.99 a month, I get all the money. That's what it boils down to. And so this is the thing that I have been saying, Scott, you represent on NNPA. Scott, I've been saying this to black institutions. We have got to begin to operate differently. We often talk about how we don't have this, we don't have that. But Scott, part of this deal also is our black institutions are not negotiating properly when it comes to the value of our content. And then if somebody offers us small money, it's like, well, that's all we can get. No, you can get more. So that's why I said, in terms of, okay, I don't know what the Byron Allen deal is with HBCU Go. Okay, is it $1 million a year? Well, guess what? If it's $1 million a year, listen to it. If it's $1 million a year, you got what, 12 SWAC schools, Scotty?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you got 12 SWAC schools. Well, the conference is going to get a big cut. So at the end of the day, how much is going to the school per year? What, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 per school? That ain't a lot of money. And so what? You're saying that they're going to show all of the SWAC games? You're giving all your content away? Again, it sort of boggles the mind. I just keep saying we've got to be smarter when it comes to how we monetize blackness. Scott, go ahead.
Well, it's a little bit more complicated than that. I've listened to this conversation.
No, it ain't that complicated.
Yeah, it really is.
And it really isn't.
Yeah, it really is, Roland. So, for example, knowing your value. I agree with you that institutions, black institutions, have to know their value. But what's the review? What's the relevant review of your value is viewership and whether people are willing to pay or not.
Only in terms of televising games. I'm speaking, when I say value, I'm speaking of games, I'm speaking of licensing, I'm speaking of revenue that you're generating when it comes to your name and likeness. I'm saying review all of that because based upon my conversations with various HBCUs, a lot of them don't even know who the hell representing them.
Okay, well, you're right. I don't disagree that they need to be looking at all of that. But at the same time, knowing your value and your viewership, are you arguing that we're not looking at it, or are you arguing that we're not valuing our goodwill and our product enough to be paid a market value.
I'm saying both. I'm arguing both. And what I'm saying is this here. It comes down to the numbers, and that is this. If I strike a deal, and this I don't know whether it's ESPN or Byron Allen's HBCU Go, I don't care who it is. And if I, as the school, if this entity has all of my games, not just my football games, all of my basketball, all of my volleyball, all of my baseball, all of my golf, all of my sports, I then got to say, well, wait a minute, how much am I getting overall to get, you get all of my content? And I'm saying this here, if I'm getting the school $75,000 or $80,000 for all of that, hell, I should be able to go out and create my own channel and make 100, 150 grand, 200 grand my damn self.
But maybe your market value doesn't have a return mark at 80,000 or 200,000.
Actually, it does, Scott. Scott, all it takes is this, Scott. Scott, I do know it. Scott, I do know it. Scott, I do know it. Scott,
baseball game.
Scott, this is very simple, Scott. If I created, no, Scott, follow me here. No, Scott, I just want you to see the numbers, Scott, because see, that's what it boils down to. If I have an entity, and I'm sitting here, and I look at my particular entity, and I go, okay, well, hold up, I got my games, and if I just go, let's just say I have 1,000 fans, 1,000 fans, okay, who decide to stream to my own channel, 1,000 fans, okay? That's it. Out of my entire base, if those 1,000 fans say, I want to see Grambling content, Florida A&M content, everything for $5 a month, I'm making 60 grand.
Right.
Hold on, wait, Scott. Just on subscriptions. What I'm comparing is, if I got a deal over here where I'm getting 80 and y'all getting all my stuff, and I can create my own and I'm getting 60, I got a better shot of building my own base to make more money.
I agree with you. Now, let me tell you what's going to happen when you do that. When you walk away from SWAC or HBCU League Pass, hold on, if you walk away from them, not walk away, but if you do it on your own, right, and you're right, and you start making a lot of money, right, if you put up the statement of the SWAC president or the executive director, because that's important. He's not wrong about what he's saying. What he's wrong about and what he's not speaking about is the enforceability of those contractual rights that he espoused on. Is he willing to enforce them? But it's not costing him any money. Hold on. And the monies are at a lower level on YouTube and people doing it on their own, and they're not really making a lot of money at it.
No, Scott. See, Scott. You stepping. Scott, you
that statement's not a lie.
Scott,
he's just not enforcing it.
Scott, you stepping into some areas that you don't know about. That's not true. Follow me here, Scott. Okay. Scott, let me just go ahead and put it to you like this here. This show, damn near did $1 million last year on YouTube.
Okay. What's your point?
That means this show, solely on YouTube, made more money than the whole SWAC conference and their TV deal.
Well, they need you to be the AD for all of those historical black colleges.
But Scott,
entrepreneurship. And by the way, if you made $1 million on YouTube, you need to start paying me and Monique.
No, guess what? Guess what? The expenses. But guess what? Hold up. See right there. See, I love how black people go, because you didn't ask how much the overall expenses are. The overall expenses are 2.4. Hold up. The overall expenses. Hold up, Scott. Scott. The overall expenses are 2.4 million. Hello. See, so it's amazing. See, that's nice and cute. That's nice and cute. But the overall expenses, 2.4 minus that 1 still leaves you $1.4 million.
Could I get a jacket, maybe? Could I get a jacket and a hat?
Well, first of all, I got your hat over there, and I got it in black and gold. But the thing we're walking through here, Monique, that again that jumps out and by the way, I did invite the SWAC folk to the show because I do want them to explain this whole deal. And this is what, let's see, I'll blow it up. They sent me here. I'm just going to read it. It said, I hope this is from Commissioner McClellan. I hope this email finds you in good spirit. No. They said, hold on. This is from Andrew Roberts, head of communications. He says, I hope this email finds you well. We are currently out of the office in preparation for the upcoming 2022 SWAC Outdoor Track and Field Championships scheduled to begin tomorrow. We respectfully decline at this time. Okay, that's fine. So, but I still would love for them to come on because I got a lot more questions because the thing for me, Scotty, let me come back to Monique. The thing for me, Scotty, that still I'm unclear about again is how can the SWAC say you cannot sign outside deals when right now Florida A&M has a signed deal with Peak Sports. Southern University has a signed deal with another company right now. But here you have Black-owned Urban Edge. They come in, give Grambling a channel, and then say, you can't. I don't understand. I don't understand the difference.
Because SWAC has...
Hold on, Scott. Scott, I'm talking to Scotty. Hold on, Scott. Scott, chill. I'm going to Scotty. Scott, be quiet. I'm going to Scotty. Scotty, go.
Hey, appreciate it. There is really no difference. This is the thing for me, right? Is that SWAC used to be under the whole Russell deal, right? And now each school is allowed to independently do their own uniforms. So that's okay. So you can make independent deals when it's okay here and there. My thing is, and going back to a point you made earlier, you have to have leverage, right? When you don't have any leverage to ESPN and you're not having anybody else bid for your stuff, you're going to take what you can get. So if you don't have a channel of your own, and I've been preaching this since day one, since I came and I started covering the SWAC, if you don't have something of your own to say, hey, that sounds nice, but we can do bad all by ourselves, then you're just going to take whatever the deal comes to you. So when you have schools like FAMU and Grambling looking to get more out of their brand, because their brand is hot right now, you have Hugh Jackson there, you have Willie Simmons killing it at FAMU, you have Dion down at Jackson State. These brands and schools are hot now, so they want to capitalize on every opportunity. They do not want to get locked in to a 10-year deal. I have a business advisor, his name is Mr. Campbell. He goes to FAMU. He says it doesn't make sense to sign any deal over 5 years because technology changes too fast. So why would you lock yourself into something so long, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, and you can't come back to the table and ask for more? So for me, if you're going to allow teams and schools to do independent deals with shoes and Adidas and uniforms and marketing and all this stuff, why does the commissioner have the full autonomy when it comes to media? And in my personal opinion, you want your name in the papers. That's what you want. You want your name in the papers. You want to say, I made this deal, I did this deal. But in the end of the day, everybody wins if FAM and Graham and Jackson State can go out and do their own thing and come back and give money back to the conference.
All right, so I'm just going to play a little bit of this here. And I don't know why Instagram doesn't allow you actually to now blow up your full video. I'm going to play this before I go to Monique. So here's a video of Coach Deion Sanders going to visit Mississippi Valley State, a public university. Play this.
Dancy of Mississippi Valley State that I was going to pull up, and guess what I did? Pulled up, surprised my dog. Yeah, met his whole entire staff. I got to kick it with him, talk to him, showed me his training room, showed me the equipment room, showed me all kind of rooms, and then we went out to that place I was injured, I was in the hospital, I wasn't able to make it to this game, but it was a tough game, it was a great game, and he talked to me about some of the trials and the tribulations that they have at Mississippi Valley State, amongst others. And I asked him, where's the practice field? You showed me the game field, where's the practice field at? I said, shouldn't it be like right there? He said, no, we have tennis courts there, but I'm gonna take you there. I said, what do you mean take me there? It's about a mile away from our complex. So I'm like, is this Children of the Corn or the practice field? Hold on, go back to that. You got to be kidding me. Hold on, you mean to tell me, stop the darn tape. This is the practice field? All right, we gotta do something about that. Also, he took me and showed me around the campus, which was a wonderful, beautiful campus. Then he showed me the locker room that
So Monique,
we were
he sat
in.
there and talked about this. First of all, this is a state school. So the alumni at Mississippi Valley State should be putting pressure on the state to improve their facilities. That's first. Dion said, hey, we're gonna sit here. He's trying to get folks to come out, and give money, raise money, which I absolutely support. But you have that as well. This is what I'm talking about here. What I'm talking about is all this back and forth. Our schools should be in a much better position when it comes to monetizing the content. And Monique, I'm literally talking to people at these schools who don't even know what's in the contracts. Literally. And I'm like, well, I see why you ain't getting no money. Because you don't even know what's in the deals.
But I thought you said you didn't know what was in the deal.
No. That was the ESPN deal. What I'm talking about is, here's a perfect example. Go to my iPad. This is a company that's called CLC. They handle the licensing deals for significant number of universities. I'm talking major schools. So here's a list of their clients. And I'm talking about, like, you just type it in. My understanding, they've got about 20 or 30 HBCUs. So these HBCUs actually pay these folks to actually go out and handle it. So you see, I can type in Florida A&M, and so I can search for them. I can search for others as well. They handle all their licensing. These schools are paying. So when Urban Edge Networks did the deal for the car, where they wrapped that NASCAR car with Florida A&M's likeness, the deal wasn't done with Florida A&M. The deal was done with COC.com. But if you look at the stories that are done about the athletic director being forced out, it's, the university says he was signing deals without their knowledge, and they were unaware of this car being wrapped because they didn't have to talk to you. COC handles that stuff. So did bruh lose his job? Why did brother actually lose his job when the deal is actually with COC? That's what I'm talking. I'm like, literally, that was some of the stories. And I'm like, wait a minute. He don't handle licensing. This entity that the university signed to do, and it's the craziest thing in the world.
Right, but I wasn't tracking. Or were you taking issue with the HBCU Go TV deal?
No. What I'm saying, first of all, what I'm asking is, how much is the HBCU Go deal? How much does each university
we don't know
get?
What the deal is worth.
No, hold up. Hold up. I'm gonna finish it. How much does each university get out of the deal? And why is the SWAC commissioner saying schools cannot go cut their own deals when they currently are? But why all of a sudden, when it's Grambling in their channel with this black-owned media company, they can't? It's totally confusing. And Scotty has called other schools. I've reached out, and no one has actually seen the deal. And these are state institutions.
Right.
So it's like,
well, I mean, no one meaning maybe their lawyers have seen it, and
they're
saying to their people, none of your business.
Well, first of all,
I don't know nothing.
First of all, as a state institution, you can't say none of your business because it's public information.
I'm saying as a lawyer, I'd be telling them the deal's not unwrapped because it's effective fall 22 season, right?
Scotty, correct me if I'm wrong, the SWAC announced the deal, correct?
With the HBCU.
But it's effective fall 22 to 23 season.
Yeah, no, but they've announced the deal, which means when you announce it, you signed it. Go ahead, Scotty.
So that's a little catchy because it was a press.
I'm coming back to you, Monique. Just hold on. Scotty, go ahead.
There's a press release for HBCU Go, but there's nothing confirmed that they have gone with the deal. But what they have signed is a previous ESPN deal, and that deal, most most people at institutions have not read the ESPN contract that they currently have with the SWAC. That's the problem that I have. Nor have the numbers came out, Ms. Monique, nor have they read or understand the terms of the money being divvied through the contract.
That's fine. Okay, that's fine. But those are, we're dealing in a few different issues. As of March, whatever that date was, when I tried to do my homework to know what I'm talking about the SWAC, the commissioner was on the press release that announced and confirmed the deal. The deal is effective fall 22-23 season. Because we haven't seen the deal, what we don't know is whether it is now the case for the 12 members that they have agreed to exclusivity and they don't have any other rights with respect to any other deals. Now, what I was asking Roland, because to me this is relevant, is if we have a problem with this Black people and Black people deal in which they get more exposure together than they would on their own, because I just believe, even if I had 1,000 followers of my own, I have on some platforms a lot more than that. But if I had an opportunity to partner with an upstanding Black business like Black Star Network that has more followers than I do, I'm thinking Roland wouldn't say, no, we don't want your business. Start your own, because you can have your own and you can go with your 1,000 followers and you can make your own money. It might be that me and Scott and Robert and whoever else, we'll pull in Tiffany, Avis, however many people, and we'll collectively have, I don't know, 100,000, 200,000, maybe 1 million people, and we would partner with a network. And so I'm just trying to find out why that's wrong.
No.
What we really want is the details of the deal to ensure that as Monique comes in the deal, I'm getting my fair share because I receive government funds and therefore I have to show everybody my underwear.
No.
It's because I get
Monique. No. Here's what we're trying to understand. We're trying to understand. How does ESPN supposedly have exclusivity, but then you've done a deal with HBCU Go, but then you say, but Urban Edge Networks can't do a deal when literally your own rules don't preclude member institutions from having their own channels. The second thing is, how does the SWAC control all of a university's content and all of their sports? I'm making the comparison, Scotty, to, again, the Texas Longhorns. The television deal for their football games was with the Big 12. The Big 12 didn't even show all of their games. One of their games, which an irrelevant game, was placed on the Longhorn Network, but they put basketball games and others. So the thing here that we're also asking is, again, what does the schools, what rights do they have, and how are they conflicting with the conference? But the conference is claiming, and you showed it, the conference says we control all athletic games when that's actually not the case. Scotty, go ahead.
My thing is, how can you make a contract with exclusivity with all 12 schools when another school is in another contract? That contract can't even go through because you're promising something that you can't bargain on because you haven't talked to Grambling to even see what Urban Edge won't sponsor. So you can't have all exclusivity or all secondary rights because you haven't even talked to Grambling to say, hey, this is the games we want to have. And then how is HBCU Go ain't national? Like, who over here talking about let's go on HBCU? HBCU Go and Urban Edge Network are literally in the same boat. Nobody was checking for HBCU Go. Nobody's checking for Urban Edge Network. So the mere fact that one is even placed more other, that has nothing to do with anything. To me, it goes back to saying, how can a commissioner say, oh, I'm doing this deal because I want to deal with HBCU Go, when Grambling saying, no, we don't want that deal because we want to go with Urban Edge Network. And then also, Miss Monique, is this: if you've already been pushed around by your conference in another deal. You're like, yo, I'm not getting nothing from this deal. Why would I think you're going to do me a better deal when it comes back around the second time? You got me once. I'm good. You're not getting me again. So Grambling says, I'm going to take it in my own hands, and I'm going to do something that I feel is beneficial for us.
Now, what I'm laying out here, Robert, and especially, and look, I guarantee you, lawyers will be involved in the Florida A&M situation. Even that's still confusing. Why did the athletic director leave? And then we're hearing, oh, well, he signed the deal and we weren't aware. But there's a signed contract with the university president's signature on it. So they were kind of aware of the deal. And in fact, if the deal they signed said that Peak Sports, they've got our digital rights, which means that Peak Sports can go out and sign a deal with anybody they want to for digital rights. Peak Sports also, by the way, is not a black-owned company. Just want to let y'all know that. So it's like, wait a minute. So Peak Sports has a signed deal. Scotty, go ahead and pull it up. With the university president, general counsel, athletic director, but now he couldn't actually do it. I mean, you see it right here, y'all. This is the deal with Peak Sports. Signed January 14, 2021. You see right here. Peak Sports. You see the president, you see the athletic director, you see the VP for Finance Administration. These are all their signatures on the deal between FAMU and Peak Sports, which means that HBCU, Urban Edge Networks, didn't have to go to FAMU to get that car wrapped with Florida A&M because of Peak Sports or collegiate licensing. And I'm gonna go back. Y'all, collegiate licensing is with them. I'm gonna show you in a second, just hold on. I'm just gonna show you, and again, y'all, this is just for me. Here's the deal. This is what went national, right here. You see right here, this, I'm pulling up, let me see, I'm trying to close this. I don't want this ad to show. So you can actually see the car, okay? But give me 1 second, I'm gonna pull up another site. So this here is the car, the Florida A&M wrapped car, okay? That's it right there. That was the car that all of a sudden caused this thing to blow up, and folks were like, oh my God, Florida A&M were claiming they weren't aware of this car. Well, they didn't have to talk to y'all because they literally could go to collegiate licensing, who, Robert, they've already given the rights to negotiate deals like this.
So, Roland, I got two points I want to make. One, kind of cycling back to Monique's point, I think it's a good idea. You should give each of us a show on the network where we can do our own thing. Monique has a big following. Scott got a following. Since we're pulling down millions and whatnot, I feel like we should get cut in.
I noticed you didn't bring up the expenses, but go ahead.
Hey, look, we'll get to the expenses.
I noticed y'all don't want to talk about the expenses. I love when Negroes want to discuss revenue, but they never want to discuss expenses.
Look, this is no additional. Remember, Roland, go to my YouTube page right now. You can pull up 1,300 videos. We got this. We're going to negotiate thereafter.
Hold up, how many subscribers you got?
I think like 2,100. So. But
hold up, right there is what. So your ass got damn near as many videos as subscribers.
Look, I know. Look, the people love me. We've been.
No, the people don't love you if you got damn near as many subscribers as videos.
I get this voice to the people. More people need me. They need more of me. They need more of this every day, all day, all up in there.
And how you, Monique, and Scott are talking is how Negroes have the average of one employee because they ain't got proper revenue. But go ahead.
My other question is, how, under your plan, how would this affect the smaller schools? Because it's one thing for FAMU or for Southern, some of the larger schools, but what about the small schools?
It's not.
Conference? How would it affect them?
Again, this is what we are using the examples of the other conferences, and Scott will speak to this, and that is the television rights deals that other conferences sign are conference deals. Okay? So that's the conference deal. but the universities can do their own thing. Texas A&M can create its own digital network and derive revenue from its own digital network that ain't got nothing to do with the SEC. It is allowed. It is happening. What's happening at Jackson State right now with Dion, y'all didn't see the new locker room at Jackson State? That ain't SWAC money.
Whoa.
That's Dion going out, bringing in sponsors, bringing in revenue.
Great.
Jackson State ain't sharing that money with Arkansas Pine Bluff or with Southern or Texas Southern University or Grambling or Bethune-Cookman or Florida A&M and the rest of them. And so you as a listen, okay, here's a perfect example. Scotty, pull that quote back up from the SWAC conference. Since you want, I'm gonna show you what I'm talking about. SWAC conference games cannot be streamed or broadcast on a national basis outside of the conference agreements. Okay, answer this. Well, how has Southern and Grambling negotiated their own TV deal since the 70s for the Bayou Classic? The Bayou Classic.
What does the conference agreement say? That's how. We're lawyers.
No.
So I'm going to be responsible and say, I have
wait. Again, I'm reading this. Go back to the quote, pull it up. It says, all conference games are restricted and can only be negotiated by the conference office. I know.
Which means they give their okay.
No, Monique. Not they give their okay. That the says only be negotiated. That's not given okay. That statement.
That's what negotiated means.
No. That statement means that the SWAC negotiates the TV deal.
That means when they negotiated the Bayou Classic or whatever they did, that the SWAC said, boom, because they got their take. And they were good with it.
No, that's not what that says.
It has to be approved by, that is, Robert, help me.
And you can beg for Robert's help all you can beg for Robert's help all you want to, but
I'm not begging for his help. I'm just looking for a cosign thinking that the male energy would assist.
No, it ain't got, I'm telling you what the money shows. And say it again, Robert?
I think Monique's correct on this one.
But here's the deal, SWAC bylaws. All SWAC bylaws say it is, y'all negotiate y'all stuff, we get 60, y'all keep 60, we get 40. But there seems to be an issue with the FAMU Grambling channels, which what they did. They're doing the exact same thing. And so this is where the
money that they're not getting a part of.
Huh?
We see exactly, it's too much money they're not getting a part of.
Who is they?
They don't like the deal. For whatever reason,
who is they?
They don't like the deal.
No, who is they?
They don't like the deal.
What deal?
I'm saying that the SWAC is saying we get to give our imprimatur. We get to say okay or not okay.
Actually, they don't.
They do not.
That's what I'm trying to explain to you.
They are saying that they get to give their okay. They are saying that there is nothing outside of the agreements and that they have to negotiate it. Now, if I'm
show me in their bylaws where they have to give the okay.
I'm responsible. I would love for somebody to show me some damn bylaws right now.
Well, Google it.
I'd be more informed as I'm guessing about this.
Well, Google it.
I am saying, listen, I've used my phone till I had to turn it into a light. I've researched like I'm a freaking first-year law clerk tonight to keep up with this
you ain't researched deep enough. Because the bottom line is this here. The bylaws do not, the bylaws don't give them the right.
If I'm in charge of negotiating your multi-million-dollar years that you're having with Roland Martin Unfiltered and the Black Star Network, then other than giving a show to Robert and to Scott and to me, I would just stamp it and say, your discretion, you do whatever it is you see best. But that would still be me being in charge of the negotiating.
But you ain't negotiating nothing.
Spirit. Okay.
You ain't negotiating that. Hold on, Monique. See, you can't go from giving okay to I'm negotiating. Hell, giving okay ain't negotiating. Negotiating is you sitting your ass down, hammering the deal out. You sitting here, that's negotiating. Just simply saying, hey, we good. They ain't negotiating. Hell up, if that's what y'all call negotiating, I ain't hiring you.
I am authoring somebody else to do it. No, the reason why we're trying to explain it is because clients do it with us all the time. The client is negotiating, but through Robert, through me, through Scott, through whomever. And the client did negotiate, but they named someone to do it for them. I am saying that the conference we're guessing, we're having a whole exploratory segment about this because we don't have no documents and it's making me itch. But
which is part of the damn problem. And Monique, the schools don't have the documents.
Rolling, real quick.
Scotty, hold up, Monique, hold that point. Scotty, go ahead.
Real quick.
Monique, hold that point. Scotty, go ahead.
I want to help Miss Monique out just a little bit. So the Florida Classic is owned by the schools. The Florida Classic between Bethune and FAMU, the conference has nothing to do with that.
And those two are SWAC schools now.
They're SWAC schools. The State Fair Classic is not, it cannot be televised because of the promoter who they have to deal with. They don't even show that game on television.
Hold up, wait. That's Prairie View and Grambling, two SWAC schools. Go ahead.
Southern Heritage Classic. That Dion trying to get out that deal because a promoter negotiated with the two schools. So you're picking and choosing what you decide that you have full autonomy on what you're negotiating.
Sustained.
And it has to be.
Those sound like pre-existing contracts with grandfather clauses that are now being honored. That's all it sounds like. People are enforcing things that pre-existed, and I don't blame Prime. Prime is going to be Prime.
No, well, first of all, okay.
Sharing his money. No, he's not sharing his shine.
No. See, you're making a mistake. You're making a mistake because you saying it's Prime. Prime works for Jackson State. Jackson State's a member of it. And
he's bringing the money to Jackson State.
Hold on. Jackson State is a member of the SWAC conference. And
now,
no, not now. They've been a member for a long damn time. They ain't new. He knew.
What I am saying is the agreements regarding the games that were just mentioned existed prior to those schools becoming a part of SWAC.
No, you're wrong.
So I think
stop.
Listen.
No. Monique, stop. You're wrong. Florida A&M and Bethune-Cookman, they are new to the SWAC. Jackson State is not
talking about them.
Who are you talking about? Jackson State, Grambling, and Southern ain't new.
I was talking about the contracts that were negotiated.
No. You said the school. No, that's not what you said. You said
I said pre-existing contracts.
You said the school.
You said schools.
Whatever.
You did say schools. I'm trying to tell you.
Okay, if I said schools, I was wrong. What I meant is pre-existing contracts by the promoters.
But hold up. But how is it pre-existing contracts when they were in the SWAC when the contracts were negotiated?
You know what, Roland? How the hell would I know when you got me on here talking about this bullshit with no contracts?
And that's the damn point we've been trying to tell you. The problem here is that we start, Monique, hello, guess what? Lightning just hit you in the head. We started.
And I asked for documents for an hour now.
Monique, we started the whole conversation off at the biggest problem here is you do not have enough transparency. Schools are in the dark. They don't know what's going on. You don't have the clarity. So you say, y'all good, but y'all not. Y'all good, but y'all not. Y'all good, but y'all not. And all we're saying is you might want to shed some light on this so there's clarity. Scotty, you get the last word.
Listen, Miss Monique, you can do a FOIA request for me. I've been trying to do some FOIA requests all week long. Listen, I would love to talk to you offline.
I'd be happy to, Scotty.
Well, Monique, fine. I'm going to send you Scotty's email because he hit Jackson State with one. They told him he wasn't specific enough in his FOIA request.
And when he comes back, we could put the FOIA request on the screen.
Okay, hold up. Good. Y'all can talk offline. Scotty, finish your point.
Listen, my point is this. The SWAC, and it's something that Mr. Martin said on my platform, you already have a foundation. You already have a base. You've been doing this for so long. These schools have been established for hundreds of years. So you have a natural base. You should been priming your base to get ready to do our own thing. Why? Because when ESPN comes to you or Fox comes to you, you can say, listen, man, we doing this. So if you're not giving us this, if you're not giving us that, kick rocks. But when you don't have anything of your own, you're susceptible to anything. And then once you're used to scarcity, you're going to take anything that looks like it's a lifeline to get you out of with the hole that you're in. But now that schools are seeing that, hey, this media, this advertising, Black-owned media is powerful, as they call white guilt dollars. You know what I'm saying? We're possible to get these funds. Now schools are taking it in their own hands to start making their own deals because they don't trust the SWAC to do what's in their best interest. So we'll see going forward.
Bottom line is this here, and I started this off this way. I'm going to close it out this way as well. Y'all, I keep telling y'all, this is about the money. It's about the M-O-N-E-Y. And what I have been saying, we love to talk. What did Dr. King say April 3rd, 1968? Black people individually are poor. Collectively, we're wealthy. And what I am saying, and I do believe this, I believe that we sell ourselves short. I believe that there are people who are saying, hey, our games are being streamed by ESPN. That don't mean a damn thing if you broke. That means nothing.
It means something to the athletes.
No. Guess what? And guess what? That don't mean nothing. But Monique, that don't mean jack to the athletes if ain't nobody watching. So if you listen, Monique, your game ain't on ESPN 1 or 2 or Classic. It's on the ESPN streaming service. So what
about the HBCU go to?
And what I'm trying to tell you is, and what I'm trying to explain to you is, what at the end of the day, how much are you getting? How many are watching? What are you getting in return? The reason the SWAC teams stopped playing in the playoffs is because they were going to the NCAA FCS playoffs and losing in the first round, had to pay their cost to get there. But it took the commissioner 10 years to convince the HBCU presidents to do the Celebration Bowl. And they getting $1 million a year. And so these schools were so hyped about, man, we want to be in the playoffs when they were losing money. And he was like, yo, we ain't making no money going to the playoffs. Why are we not doing a bowl game? Dennis Thomas told me last year it took him a whole decade to convince the presidents and the ADs why we keep losing money. And all I'm simply saying here is I need black people to stop being all about white validation and, oh, we on somebody's network. It comes down, how much are you getting paid? And if HBCU Go or Urban Edge Networks gonna offer you more money than ESPN paying you, damn being on ESPN. Because I showed you the Mississippi Valley State program. I showed you Grambling Stadium is jacked up. I can show you all these HBCUs. If you have been broke for decades, why do you want to be broke for the next decade? And I am arguing that these schools have value, have untapped value that they have not leaned in on because they do not have the right experts negotiating deals on their behalf, and you cannot have people negotiating deals on your behalf who don't know nothing about media rights. And that is what I'm saying. So I look forward to the SWAC coming on here, Commissioner McClellan. He was the AD at Prairie View. Know him well. Would love him to come on because just like the SWAC, it's the same for our black churches, for our black organizations, our fraternities and sororities. We should be doing far better, but unfortunately, we got the wrong folk at the negotiating table. Scotty, I appreciate it. Tell people how they can watch your show.
You can find me on YouTube, Off Script. And you can catch me on, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter, offscript_viz and offscript_TV. And real quick, shout out to my mom. I know she's watching. We're big fans, Rolling. So shout out to my mom. I love you, Mom.
Black people gonna do their mama shout outs. And so, Scotty's mama, I appreciate you watching. Thanks a bunch. All right, y'all. When we come back, y'all, I got this app had me hollering because it's meant to make you holler as well. I will unpack that when we come back. Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
When I first moved to LA, me and Joe lived together, right? And that was a big blessing because I didn't have to worry about paying rent. You know, out here struggling, doing my thing, and that was a big help. And then when I moved out, I think that's when I saw the division because I think Joe felt like I didn't need him anymore. And it wasn't that. It was like I'm a grown-ass man, two grown-ass men.
But actually, that is true. You don't need him anymore. When you grow up, first of all, when you grow up, it's like, hey, you help. And this time you get your ass out the house and go do your own thing.
Right, he didn't want me to move out. But I'm like, you know what? At the time when I moved out.
I mean, what? Were you paying a light bill?
I wasn't paying anything. And I said, you know what? I need this responsibility. It's gonna make me work harder in my career if I know I got rent to pay, I got bills to pay. I was paying a cell phone bill, that was it. No, but Joe was treating me like a little butler. Because I'm telling you, I was like Benson. I'm telling you, man.
Please fetch me some water.
He was using Jedi mind tricks. Yo, man, you still make them good grilled cheese sandwiches you made when you was little? No, you don't. You know, next thing I'm at the stove. Flipped it. And then it dawned on me, he just tricked me again. Got me again.
What's up, y'all? I'm Will Packer.
Everybody, it's your man, Fred Hammond.
Hi, my name is Brescia Webb, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered. Ow. Well, I like a nice filter usually, but we can be unfiltered.
All right, y'all, so I was sitting there perusing on the internet, and I came across this app, and I was like, ain't no way in hell somebody not black created this app. Play it, y'all.
I want you to know tonight that no matter what you're dealing with, if God can get glory out of your situation, it lets you know that God can trust you at the end of the story. That's why Paul picks it back up in the 28th verse. And we know that all things, they work together for the good of them that love God and to the called according to his purpose. Is it anybody here that know that it's working? Yes, I know it's working for my good.
So I was like, was this like satirical? No, that thing is real. Y'all, musician Carlton Whitfield understood the assignment when he created the app Triggerz, which can put an entire orchestra at your fingertips. He joins us now from Atlanta. And so, first of all, you two people, y'all tripping. We should be at 1,000 likes by now, so hit the doggone button, stop tripping, before I have to cuss y'all out in the church segment. So Carlton, first of all, how did you come to this point? Because one, we all know when preachers start hooping, first of all, some get mad when the director missed the cue. And so some start the music too early, some are late, so you can see the hand signals where they're like, stop it, like, or looking like, come on. This here, you control the whole thing yourself.
Right. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You know, honestly, this whole idea came from me when I used to play for my dad's church ever since I was like 5 years old. I got a little older and I moved away. And because I'm from a small town where there aren't any musicians, I actually created this for my dad. It was really just supposed to be just for him. He would call me sometimes. He'd be like, son, I need tracks. I would send him tracks, or I need this kind of song for this week, and I send him a song. But one day he was like, son, what do I do when I'm preaching? I don't have anything, for when I'm preaching. I like to be backed up while I'm preaching. And so I just went to work and I came up with this app for him. This is actually something that was in my mind when I was 17 years old a while ago. And I just never thought it would actually, I would actually think of it again and like, man, that would actually work for him. And so I created it for him. He had it, testing it on his phone. And I just kind of was just happy with that. I wasn't really worried about releasing it. I was actually scared to release it to the world. And it actually sat in my back end on the App Store for 6 months before I even considered putting it out. So, yeah, I'm just a musician, and I just put what I know my dad would like into the app. And so that's where it came from.
Now, I'm on the App Store right now. Go to my iPad. So I see Whoop Triggerz, and I see Whoop Triggerz Plus. What's the difference?
Right. Well, first off, we call it Hoop Triggerz. I know it looks like.
I'm sorry. Well, yeah, because Hoop. I mean, I'm looking at HOOP. But go ahead.
Yeah. So Hoop Triggerz. So the Hoop Triggerz was the first version we came out with. It's a one-time purchase, right? And so you get things like backing up the preacher. You get some music for altar call and some shout music, stuff like that. But with Hoop Triggerz Plus, you will get like more. It's a subscription. It's it on goes. We add stuff to it daily. We add stuff to it weekly, monthly. It's a lot more songs, a lot more things you can use while you're preaching, and it just never ends. So we continuously add all the time.
Somebody in the chat room said this is needed, especially when the choir come in on the wrong key.
Say that one more time.
Somebody in the YouTube chat said this is desperately needed when the choir come in on the wrong key.
I have background vocals on there too, so that's probably what they're talking about. My app now has songs with background vocals, full bands, the whole nine. You can literally run a whole service from your iPad. Either the person that's preaching can do it, or sometimes everybody's a musician now with this app. The sound person in the back is running it. I've had little kids running it for the pastor. I made it to where it's easy. Doesn't matter who you are, how old you are, even if you have no musical knowledge, it's still possible.
Well, that is great, especially like you said, if you're a small church, you don't have all of that. I mean, this makes you real big, and we're now living. Of course, we're still dealing with COVID. A lot of people are still virtual, and so hey, you good?
Yeah, a lot of people laughed when they first saw it. I'll never forget. I was scared to release it, and exactly what I was scared of did happen. People laughed. They talked about me. They really talked about me. But then when the pandemic hit, it seemed like things changed. People couldn't go to church. They couldn't, the bands couldn't rehearse, or they were doing everything online. And so this app really, really aided people during the pandemic. And it still does to this day. Whether you're in person or online, it doesn't matter. This app can benefit any church at any size. I've seen churches with 2 members all the way to churches with 2,000 members using this app. One church in Alabama has 3 locations, so sometimes their musicians have to leave at the end of one service to go to the next location to start the next service. And so they use this app at the first location to finish out the service. And the audience really never even knows. They never really even realize that, the musicians are gone. So that's what I'm aiming at, is just to make this sound like the real deal.
Let's see, Monique, since you over there humming and stuff, you go ahead and start first. Like your microphone not on, but go ahead.
Oh, I apologize. Yes, hallelujah. I just want to say thank you, because it doesn't just help to simulate a real church setting on Sundays. I downloaded years ago. And when there were preachers, young preachers like me who didn't have they hoop straight yet, I'm young preachers like me. I'm the preachers. And the track helped many of us going into empty churches with your music playing to prepare for a Sunday or for a conference or for something like that. So I want you to understand that the Spirit of God is in the work that you do. And I don't care how many people laugh while you're doing it, because anything that aids in the delivery of the good news so that people can be set free, then you're doing the work of God. And God's going to bless the work that you do. And that's why you're on this distinguished platform tonight. And I don't have anything but more glory to add to your story. Thank you for your work. And may you continue and go further and further and further along your path.
Wow. I appreciate that so much. That means so much to hear you say that. Y'all excuse my son. He's in the background. I'm here with my kids. So
it's all right.
Somebody, yeah.
It's all good. Robert?
We love the kids.
So we all know the internet ruins everything, basically. Is there anything that will stop people from, taking this and using it for their OnlyFans page, using it for less than holy purposes, or is it just whoever wants it just downloads it and just free for all to go to town on it?
As long as they pay that $59.99, but Carson, go ahead.
Why would you want to keep them from it?
Yeah,
I'm just saying, people be putting feet videos up and you got somebody whooping in the back.
Robert, you know damn well you're going to download this app and put it to one of your gun videos.
That's a good-ass idea.
Stop fronting.
And those chord alliances, those chord arrangements have oil on them. I've seen way too many people play like they're shouting and play like they're playing the organ and play like they're hooping and get the Holy Ghost. So I would love it. Robert, yes, put it with your guns. May the anointed dancer do it for the pole. Take these tracks everywhere, y'all. Let's see what happens. Just saying.
Carlton, go ahead.
No, I mean, you're right. I've seen people playing and they catch it. I've seen it all. I see more videos than probably anybody because people tag me in all of them, right? And so I've seen people ordering Starbucks with the app. I've seen people ordering Popeye's chicken with the app. I can't control what people do with it, but I can say that the people who need it, the people who are using it, it's benefiting them, and that's really what matters to me. You can't control, what they do with your app.
Like I said, pay that $59.99, we good. Again, look. First of all, here's the deal. Folk gonna laugh. I had people telling me we were gonna fail. Folk telling me you don't know what you're doing, and all I did was I laughed at them, and I said, I ain't doing it for you. Just watch what goes down. And so that's why I'm worried about it. And again, so like I say, when I saw it, I was sitting here. And I was like, hold up, this is a real app. And again, as I started going through it, as I started going through the app, taking a look at it, folks, you can actually see when you go through it, you see all the different ratings and stuff along those lines. And again, when you now realize, again, how our game has changed. I spent a lot of time during COVID helping a lot of preachers deal with their live streaming. They had no idea about a lot of this stuff. I'm talking about I was doing sessions. Folk were calling me personally because they were out to lunch on this whole deal. And the reality is, if you're trying to actually be bigger than you are, take advantage of technology. Now, I'm sure there's a preacher sitting here saying, man, look, I can't sit here and work my iPad at the same time when I'm preaching. Fine, let somebody sit over there, and then when it's that right time, control it all. And so, so other than the part we heard when it comes to hooping, so what else is on the app that's bigger and broader? What else? What other features do you have?
Okay, so yeah.
Shout music.
So people always used to ask me, what happens if they start shouting, right? So we have different shout musics on there that people can use, and it's not just like you just play a track and it's just over. This is you can actually control the intensity of the music. You can change the sections. You can go back to different sections. It doesn't end until you end it, and so it makes it feel like it's an actual musician playing. Also, a lot of people ask me, well, how do I know what key the preacher is preaching in? Like, how do I even know? If I don't know anything about music, this app can actually detect the key that the preacher is in for you. And so there's a key detection feature on this app just for that. You can also play behind a singer with this app. And I'm not saying push play and it just starts playing. Like if you ever think of a song that has no tempo, it's just a piano player playing behind them, you can actually do that with this app too. Songs like Amazing Grace and stuff like that. Praise and worship, we have benediction songs. It doesn't matter. I just cover the whole spectrum of the service from start to finish. No matter what, we have something on there, and if it's not on there right now, it'll probably be there next week.
All right then, y'all, it's Hoop Triggerz there. So you got Hoop Triggerz Plus. Y'all check it out. This is precisely why we created our Tech Talk segment to feature brothers and sisters who are in technology, creating their own apps to help folks out. Here the social media. CW is Facebook, Hoop Triggerz on Twitter, CDUBWRLD on Instagram, hooptriggerz.com is the website. Carter, we appreciate it, man. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much for having me. I really, really appreciate it, and I do not take this for granted.
All right then, and so I might have to sit here and download the app. So when I do one of my deconstructions, when I'm cracking on these lawyers on the show, I can go ahead and hit the button while I'm talking. I appreciate it, man. Thanks a lot.
All right, thank you so much.
All right, folks. Sad news out of Memphis, folks. One of the iconic voices of Memphis radio, Bobby O.J., has passed away. The Tennessee Radio Hall of Fame and WDIA DJ and program director was 68 years old. In a career that spanned over more than 5 decades, he interviewed top black celebrities from James Brown to Kevin Hart. WDIA's parent company, iHeartRadio, announced the news of his passing Tuesday afternoon. OJ had been on the air this morning hosting his morning show and passed away shortly after he finished his stint, his morning show. Bobby OJ is now an ancestor at the age of 68. Monique, Robert, Scott had to leave earlier, folks. Thanks a bunch. No, Scott didn't jump off, y'all, because this conversation was too hot. He had to bounce, and so I appreciate it. Thank you so very much. Yeah, he did. I'm like, it's all good. It's all good. So let me thank everybody, of course, for watching the show. Come on, YouTube. Y'all get to 1,000 likes before we sign off. Don't forget, y'all, support our show. So if y'all want me to pay Robert, Monique, and Scott, trust me, revenue has to outpace expenses. That's how that thing works. And so, of course, download the Black Star Network app, Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV. And, of course, when you join the Bring the Funk fan club, allows for us to do what we do. And y'all now see why I'm pushing hard to get these black-owned media advertising dollars, because this is precisely why we ain't broke, or we don't, because we can't build and can't pay folks more, because frankly, we ain't getting advertising dollars. I try to tell y'all this. P.O. Box for checking money orders. P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Folks, thanks a bunch. I will see y'all tomorrow right here. Roland Martin Unfiltered. Ho!